Welcome to The Countdown, a new podcast series brought to you by Game to Love. This is going to be a weekly episode counting down to every single Grand Slam event. And we're going to be taking you through different sections.
The contenders for the trophy, the latest news of the event. We'll play a game called Tennis Shootout. There'll be a rankings update, who's going to be seeded, who's not. And of course, we'll end in GTL style with a surprise package.
So sit back, grab a beer. It's time for The Countdown.
Novak Djokovic has won the Australian Open. 35 matches unbeaten. He's done it! Carlos Alcaraz! Djokovic has won Wimbledon. He wins his 14th Roland Garros title.
Welcome to The Countdown. It's episode 1. I'm excited. Roland Garros just round the corner. You can see the counter below me right now. JG, you excited as ever for your favourite Grand Slam of the year?
Yeah, exactly that. I'm so happy we're starting this series at Roland Garros. Rafael Nadal hopefully will be back. Fingers crossed. And I'm excited to do a podcast, Ben, with you, which is a little bit more structured. The GTL way usually is set a stream, we go live, and then we turn up about half an hour later. This one is going to be rigid. It's going to be coming out the same time every single week. So make sure to join us for it. And today's episode is going to be an action-packed one because I've got a very special question lined up for Ben in the tennis shootout.
Ooh, I'm excited. I've got one lined up. Hopefully you're going to be fair on me. I'm going to try and hopefully give you one that is an answerable question, but still with a little bit of a trickery mixed in there. As you just saw there from the intro, this is going to be put into segments. We are going to be talking about the contenders first.
Exactly. Hit the button.
Oh, so the contenders on the men's side first. And I'm excited to go through these because we know we've got a new guy at the top of the favourite listings on the men's. He's never been a favourite before. It's normally one of the two below. It's normally the guy third on the list, which is Rafael Nadal, but it's Carlos Alcaraz, and he's there. He's in hot form, and he's playing Rome at the moment and guaranteed to be world number 1 when he finishes Rome, as long as he plays one match. Isn't that right, JJ?
Yeah, but I want to start with Rafael Nadal, Ben. I know you want to start straight with Carlos Alcaraz. Of course, he is the big favourite. He's the guy who's looking amazing right now. Favourite for Rome. I think it's going to be difficult to get past him. But with Rafa, he's the king of Roland Garros. He's third in the list. I don't think you'll ever get Rafael Nadal at 5.5 to win this event. And I think that's just credit to him, the fact that he's not played hardly at all this year. He's looking like a doubt even to enter Roland Garros, but yet he's the third favourite. I mean, is he a contender? This is the section we're talking about. For me, he will always be a contender. I think the other two, Alcaraz, Djokovic, they're of course contenders to win. I know Djokovic is having a bit of a wobbly period on the clay. He just got through Echeverry the other day and he's not playing amazing in Rome, but I think we often see that with Djokovic. The event before Roland Garros, especially the early rounds, it takes him a few matches to get going again. And then even the same for Roland Garros, first few rounds, it's not vintage Djokovic. He always gets better as it goes on. So for me, he'll always be a contender. Alcaraz, I think every single person in the world thinks he's a contender. And Rafael Nadal will be one for me. But is he one for you, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, I said it during the Djokovic match. I think Rafael Nadal, possibly one of the only players in tennis history that could probably even take 3 years off and come back. And if he was playing his best tennis, could win Roland Garros. That's my personal opinion. I think Rafa's that good there. If he's fully fit, he's probably favourite. And that's the honest truth about Roland Garros and Rafael Nadal. He had an injection in his foot last year and played with a numb foot and still won the whole thing. So anything's possible if he chooses to play the tournament. I'm worried that we haven't got to see any warm-up tournaments. But the one person we have seen with electric warm-up tournaments is Carlos Alcaraz. Djokovic, he's been a bit suspect. He's lost, I think it is 2 out of the last 5 matches, which is very uncharacteristic of him. He's suffering with a little bit of an elbow injury, which seems to have cleared up in Rome. But Alcaraz, he's like a man possessed right now. And he's going back to number 1. And he will most likely be world number 1 and number 1 seed at the same time at Roland Garros.
Yeah, so I think we both agree the top 3 will be contenders. Let's try and pick 2 more, maybe 2 each here, or 1 each if you would like, from the rest. I mean, you can scroll down a little bit as well and see some other names. Certainly not going to be Felix. I think he's been dreadful on the clay. Went out again early in Rome. I don't consider him. Coric is having a good few weeks. Is he a contender? Is there anyone really below this point who you would consider? I think it's tough. And I might surprise you with who one of my contenders is. And if you go up slightly, Ben, because it's not down there, this name you will not expect me to say, but it's Andre Rublev. I would make him one of my contenders for this year's Roland Garros. The reason being, I think him finally getting that Masters victory this year at Monte Carlo will give him a lot of confidence to know that he can close out an event where top players were playing there and he's had to beat some good opposition to win it. And for me, Rublev technically has all of the ability. Tsitsipas recently come back on his comments where he was criticising Rublev for being a bit of a one-dimensional player. He's since come back and retracted that statement and apologised to him. And I think he was right to do so because I honestly believe that his game has come on a lot from last year. I think he seems a lot more confident. I think he's got a little bit more versatility. He's not just going to be at the baseline trying to hit big bueres and forehands. He, for me, could potentially be the full favourite for Roland Garros. And I know the bookies have him all the way down at, 26, 25 to 1. I'm not sure that would be, 7th, 8th favourite. He's my number 4.
Yeah, I mean, he's down there. Yeah, he's below Yannick Sinner and below Holger Rune as well. Tsitsipas, obviously, he always inserts himself in as 4th favourite, being a former finalist. Normally does pretty well in Rome as well in the lead up to it. I can understand where you're coming from because he has had success, Rublev, on the clay. And that's something, a Masters Championship was maybe the catalyst for Stefanos Tsitsipas to get to that final at Roland Garros. Somebody that nobody's talking about who could potentially turn it on is Casper Ruud, though. I mean, he's last year's finalist. And who's to say if there's nobody else playing their top tennis that he might not just... He had quite a good draw, remember, last year. It's all about getting a good draw. If you get a good draw, someone like Casper Ruud, if he doesn't meet Rafa in the final, might stand a chance. So it was just unfortunate that he got to play pretty much his idol in the final and was probably starstruck, and he didn't really put up much of a fight, did he? Let's be honest. But that happens. That's your first slam final. Second slam final might be different.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised actually you've gone for Ruud, but I think we've got 2 good players who could do well and some contenders to go with the new big 3. But that's the men's. Let's move on to the women's.
Right, here they are. And no surprises, Iga Swiatek is a absolutely overwhelming favourite for Roland Garros. 1.73. I mean, I think it could be even lower come the end of Rome. But that is overwhelming. Do you not think?
Well, the big standout thing instantly I'm drawn to is Iga's a bigger favourite to win Roland Garros than Alcaraz is on the men's. I think that makes sense. The closest to us, Sabalenka. We've got Krejcikova in 3, who I'm going to be totally honest, she's not impressed me that much this clay court season. I thought she'd be a little bit better than what she's done. Ons Jabeur, another one who's been really bad. She lost to Badoza comfortably the other day. Yep. I'm not impressed with her at all. So really, if I'm looking at this as contenders, I think it's obviously just 2. I don't know if you agree with that, and maybe it's just obvious to me, but out of this list, the only real strong contenders are Iga and Sabalenka. But with the men's, I will give one more as well. But I just want to just gauge if you agree with me that are they the 2 contenders for you as well?
Yeah, I mean,
I'd hope so.
let's wait and see how Rome ends, because if Krejcikova goes to a final or something, then she'll definitely be in that. But for me, it's those 2, maybe Krejcikova. That's it.
Oh,
So
I thought you was going to just discount Sabre after our early exit in Rome and just put Iga as your only contender.
She's tired.
The only
I think she's
certified
tired.
concrete one. Okay, cool.
Well,
So we
Iga
both agree on
definitely
that. So
concrete.
Iga and Sabalenka are the 2 concrete positions on the women's.
Yeah.
Just like the Alcaraz, Djokovic, Nadal on the men's. Who is your third, Ben? I'll let you go first this time, since I went first on the men's.
Wow. I mean, let me just click so we can go down so we can see a few other names there as well, because it really is potluck sometimes on the women's. The ones that stand out to me who are having good years so far, I mean, I don't really want to say loads of them at the same time. Maybe I'll just go with, I'm not sure if she's a contender to win it, but to go deep, Maria Sakkari. That's a bit harsh, I know, but I think she'd still probably be good for a semi-final, which I don't think that's that much of a shock, is it? I think she's having a good year. What do you think?
Yeah. Is she a contender to win, though, Ben? That's what we're doing now. And she's not for me. I think you summed it up there. You're not even confident yourself. She's good value to get to a semi or deep or even a final at the very best. But can she actually win? No. So that's why I wouldn't put her as one of my contenders. Was that your final answer?
Yeah, I'll go with Sakkari just because of her good form of late.
Right, so my turn. If you keep going up, Ben, I'll tell you who mine's going to be. And I'm going to play it a little bit safe. Maybe I've spent a little bit too much time with you in the past, boring Ben, rubbing off. But I'm going to be going Elena Rybakina. And I know instantly you're going to do that face because you don't think she's great on the clay. She's performing quite well in Rome at the moment. If she is to go and win that, then what are you going to say to me? You then can't discount her. But then I don't even think she needs to win that. Listen, let's leave Iga win Rome. I think she's almost got it wrapped up already, how good she's performing.
Yeah.
Rybakina is a player who's proven to be Iga. So for me, she has already shown the ability to beat the very best player. I'm sure she can do that same thing with other opposition as well. If things just sort of come together and she gets a little bit more familiar with the clay courts, I think she can go really deep. And I would make her more of a contender than Maria Sakkari. So you can shake your head all you want, but you've just picked Maria Sakkari as a contender. I would much rather a Grand Slam champion and someone who is proven to go deep in big events and actually win them. Sakkari just goes deep and then goes out. So you can shake your head all you want, mate. But Sakkari is a poor choice. And my one in Rybakina is a lot better. So she actually makes up my contenders as number 3. If you look at the live rankings as well, she's right up there. She has been arguably the 3rd best player this year. So it makes total sense. I think it's a logical selection as a contender.
Well, logical, I'm not so sure. I think that she's up there as the 3rd best player because she hasn't been playing on clay. That's why. She lost to Hadad Meyer. She lost to Kalinskaya as well in Madrid, which would have been her better surface, being the faster courts. She's on a slower clay court now. The serve's not as impactful. I'll be surprised if she even gets to the quarterfinals in Rome.
This episode, as it's airing today, obviously I'm talking from the day before, she is going to be playing Kalinskaya. So I'm hoping she's just beating Kalinskaya in straight sets. And what you've just said is completely invalid.
Well, let's see how she gets on the slow clay, because she's 2-2 on clay so far this year. But this one is completely different. I'm not that convinced in her clay court ability yet, but I'm always open to broaden my own horizons. I think that she will be in the future. So, or sort of like the Medvedev thing that I always come up with is I feel that he will be a real contender at Roland Garros maybe in like 2-3 years, but just not at the moment.
Yep. Right, let's move on to the next section, and that is going to be some of the latest news around Roland Garros. And here we go. It's my section, Ben, because it's the Twitter section. I've just given it a little refresh. I'll do it again just so you can see. And this is the latest of the latest tennis news around Roland Garros. And all I'm going to be doing is reading this off as we go down and just seeing some of the stories. First up, we've got the tennis letter. And this is Gael Monfils talking about Rafael Nadal's dominance at Roland Garros. He said, I always take the example of Roland Garros, who has won it 14 times. Has this ever existed? Two other legends have only won it 3 times, once Roger and twice Novak. So you've got Gael Monfils talking so highly of Rafael Nadal. He will be playing Roland Garros because of his protected ranking. What do you make of these comments? Do you agree? Is Rafa just a great example of everything great about the sport?
Of dominance on a particular surface at a particular tournament? Most definitely. He is the best example of somebody dominating just one surface. I mean, he's barely lost in all of his career, which is so rare. You don't really get that type of statistic, even in any sport, where somebody, I think he's lost, like 3 times or something crazy like that. Like, that is unheard of. So, yeah, it's very much warranted. We haven't seen that on any other surface from any other player. I mean, the closest we're probably looking at is Djokovic winning 10 Australian Opens, but there still has been obviously more defeats there than Rafa's had on the clay courts. Look at this. I mean,
well, and you'll be no surprise. We're going to go down. I think we're going to see quite a bit about Rafa. And this one is an entire clay season without Rafa will never be the same feeling for me. If this Roland Garros happens to be the last, let's all pray this perfect story finishes in the best way possible, guys. And it's a nice little montage of Rafa and just some of the great memories, really, of him at Roland Garros. I think I'm not surprised. Are you, Ben, when you type in Roland Garros, you just see Rafa with the clay and all of the memories. I will cry, I think, this year. Just seeing him. Obviously, we don't even know if he's going to be able to play. There was a video what was circulating the other day of him looking in a bit of pain.
On the practice courts, wasn't it?
Yeah, on the practice court. So let's just fingers crossed with it, man. But to see him there, it's going to be really emotional. And I feel if he can win it, I mean, it'll be the greatest moment of my life. It really would be. But let's just keep going down because we're going to be a bit quick fire with some of these. So we've got Bastian Facken in, one of our favourites.
Yeah.
And 50 Grand Slam titles. So who's this for? 50 Grand Slam titles. Between the 3 of them. So we've got Venus, Serena, and Roger Federer. And this is just some of the titles, I'm assuming. Look at this.
It's not bad, is it? And that's just all the different years and just continuing on through all of those years. I mean, that tweet must continue for quite some time.
Yeah, I think if we click on it, look, you can see, well, it's basically every year. Wasn't anything in 2011, but every year up until 2018, Australian Open.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty mental. And there's the 3 of them at the F1. Not going to see any of them, no, this year at Roland Garros. Unless Venus enters, which I don't think she is. So we've got another one here saying, if Rafael Nadal plays Roland Garros, will he be match fit? Has everyone forgotten about the fact that this man won the Australian Open after having a 6-month layoff? He has been away for a shorter period, and I don't need to get started on his numbers at Roland Garros.
Exactly.
Over to you, Ben.
Exactly what I said earlier. One person that I still think he could have 5 years off, and Rafael Nadal could still win Roland Garros. Maybe he could just go and retire for a bit, go and just recover fully, come back again, still win it in a few years' time.
Well, okay, so I'm going to play the other side of this. Is that disrespectful, you suggesting that he can do that to the opposition? Is that disrespectful to Djokovic? You saying that he can go away 5 years and then still beat him?
I don't think it's disrespectful. I just think it's when you're like his dominant self on a surface, you can't really argue with it, can you? He is the one person that's different to everybody else on that Roland Garros clay court. There's just nothing like him. He's the only person without a warm-up that you would say he still could win the whole thing. Anybody else, you'd probably say no.
Oh, I love it, Ben. You've been converted. I know you love Rafa deep down. Let's do a few more anyway.
Some more
We'll
Rafa
go
ones.
down. Is it going to be it? No, we've got Novak Djokovic here. So the tennis letter. So Novak Djokovic says Carlos Alcaraz is his favourite for Roland Garros. He well-deservedly will be number one after this event. He's the player to beat on this surface. It also depends on if Rafa will be at Roland Garros, but Alcaraz is certainly one of the favourites without any doubt. So we've got Djokovic here coming out and saying that Alcaraz is his favourite for Roland Garros, and he deserves to be number one.
Yeah, I mean, through performances alone this year, he definitely does deserve it. He's really, like, he encapsulates everything that you want from a world number one and like a Grand Slam champion. So Djokovic recognises it. And plus, there might be a little bit of mind games there. I'll throw all the pressure onto you, Carlos. You're the favourite, not me. God, look, I've just lost 2 out of my last 4. I'm not going to be favourite, am I? I'll come in.
Maybe there's a little bit of that there.
Maybe. I hope so. I want to see what
he's a bit
Carlos
of a mental
responds.
giant. He's a mental giant, Novak Djokovic. I wouldn't be surprised if he's playing a few mind games there. Are we going to get anything about the women? That's what I want to know. This is going to be the last one. And yes, we do. Right on cue. We've got Juan Ignacio saying, honestly, when I played my first rounds of Roland Garros 2020, I thought I played so bad that I can't go lower. This was her first round. So I'm assuming he's talking about Iga. And her first rounds in Roland Garros 2020, she beat Bouchard 6-3, 6-2. She beat Suo Shea 6-1, 6-4. And then Vondrousova 6-1, 6-2. I mean, she was really bad, wasn't she, Ben?
Those results are just
so
nuts.
what did
the
she
last
say?
one.
She was like, I thought I couldn't play any worse. I couldn't have played any lower than this.
Look at that last one as well. I mean, she just beat Andreescu's 6-1, 6-love yesterday, which was Vondrousova. That's the level that Iga was just playing at. Look at that. That is the craziest one for me there out of all of them. Nuts.
No, but do you not think it's crazy the fact that she thought she was playing so bad? That was the worst she felt ever.
Well, it'll be double bagel now. Double bagel only now. It's like only breadsticks. This is terrible performance.
Well, there we go. That is some of the latest news. We'll be doing that on every single episode. Just typing in Roland Garros and seeing the first 5 tweets will come up.
Yeah, let's just hope that there's something other than Rafael Nadal news on the next news section anyway. But on to the next section. And this is the one you've all been waiting for. It's the tennis shootout. It's the tennis shootout. It's me versus JG. And it's going to be a tally going through all the series leading up to every Grand Slam. And we'll keep it running throughout the whole year so we can see when we get to the end of 2023 who is leading in the tennis shootout.
Yeah, so this is how it's going to work. I will ask Ben a question he's not prepared for. Ben will ask me a question I'm certainly not prepared for. And we both have 30 seconds to answer it. We'll try and give our thought process as we're going. Hopefully there will be a timer below. And the question I've got for you, Ben, is do you want to go first or second?
So I thought you were going to say rough or smooth. That's normally the question you ask me before one of these tennis shootouts.
M or W?
That's it. I'll go with W.
No,
do that? Okay.
It's do you want to go first or not?
Yeah, go on. Put me first. I'll be the number 1 seed for now.
Okay. Right. So Ben wants to go first. You've got 30 seconds to answer. Compose yourself and let me know when you're ready, and I'll find the question to you.
All right. Okay. Can you get the clock ready, please? And
this is your question. It's of course related to Roland Garros, like all of them will be on this series. And the question is: there are 5 famous Bens on the tennis tour inside the top 500. My question to you is, what Ben has got the furthest at Roland Garros? Go.
Started it off, oh my word. Ben has got the furthest at Roland Garros. Well, Shelton's never been outside the US, so that's a nightmare.
Maybe name some Bens, Ross. run out of time.
Can't even think of any bends. I've only got 10 seconds left. What other bends are there?
How long?
3, 2, 1. No.
Okay, we need an answer, Ben. What Ben has got the furthest at Roland Garros? There's 5 inside the top 500.
How are there 5?
What's your answer?
Oh, I can only think of one at the moment, which is terrible. I can only think of Ben Shelton, which is awful, and it's not going to be him.
Well, that's your final answer. You've run out of time. So Ben's gone for Ben Shelton. He's never played at Roland Garros. I told you it was a question tailored to you, and you've embarrassed yourself. So these are the 5 Bens. We've got Ben Shelton. We've got Benjamin Bonzi. We've got Benjamin Hassan, Benjamin Locke, and Ben Patel. I was going to include Benoit pair, but of course that's Benoit, so we didn't count that. So that's the 5. Do you know the answer now?
No, I think you should have given me all 5 and said which one of these.
Oh, that's easy.
Was it? Oh,
Well, obviously, it's Benjamin Bonzi. He's got to the second round of Roland Garros. He's got furthest. Hassan, Locke, and Patel have never played, and Shelton as well. So he's the only one who's ever played there.
God damn it. Right, well, hopefully, thank you for that one. It's a good Ben-related question. So now I've learned something new. Not the furthest. I hope we get a bit further with Shelton. Maybe we can get to the 3rd round, maybe even a bit deeper. Well, looks like I got 0 out of 1 so far on the shootout. That's not good for me. There'll only be one question each week. I'm going to be giving you my question. Get prepared, JG.
I'm scared now. Please don't be too hard.
Well,
it's going to embarrass me.
Right. The timer starts when the questions are finished being asked, just so you know. Okay, that's how I started it. Right. So, who is the youngest ever female Roland Garros champion?
That's horrible.
And he started.
That is so horrible. Well, instantly I'm drawn to, I think you're going to try and confuse me, make me think it's someone who's old, who's not, and I think it might be Iga. Reason being, when she won it in 2020, she would have only been 19. 20.
No, it's not Iga. You got 5 seconds.
Well, you just give me the answer.
I said it's not her.
Well, you're telling me it's not hers. You can't do that.
Yeah, I'm trying to say, have another go. That's it. I mean, any other last thoughts just on the youngest ever Roland Garros champion?
Martina Navratilova.
No, but I like the fact that you went a bit of a punt for someone a bit older from another generation.
I thought you was going to try and play on the fact that it's not someone from an older generation. It's going to be someone recent.
It's not recent. She's very famous. Someone like John Silkwood, well, he's brought up her name a bit in Zagreb. It's actually Monica Seles who won it. And at the age of 16 years, 6 months old. That was in 1990. So
I mean, I wasn't even born, so
little bit of history for anybody watching who didn't know that. Monica Seles, pop up a picture.
I feel like everyone's gonna know, and you've just embarrassed me now. So
well, they might have known that one as well. That's the thing with those type of ones. You just throw out some old names and just see.
Yeah, well, I've only got one, and we've both failed. So what a great first episode of the tennis shootout. On to next week, but now we're going to the next section, and this section is going to be the rankings update.
So here we are. We're going to look at the men's first, and as you can see here, this is the list of all of the entries into Roland Garros, and this was as they were ranked when they entered 6 weeks before the tournament. Novak Djokovic was the number 1 seed then, and as you can see, still currently the number 1 seed, but that is subject to change after Rome. And we know that Carlos will only have to play 1 match and he'll be straight back to number 1 again.
Yeah, so I think these entry lists come out on the 17th of April. Of course, you can see there the entry ranking on the right-hand side and the current ranking on the left-hand side. So in the case of Borna Coric, he has moved up 5 places since he entered. From he's 16 currently, and he entered at 21. what we're going to do here is just look at some of the importance of the seedings. And if we start with right at the top, the big debate was who's going to be the number 1 seed, who's going to be the number 2 seed. 3 and 4, of course, are very important as well. It seems like it's going to be Alcaraz because all he had to do was play Rome, which he has, and then he will gain enough points to be the number 1 seed for Roland Garros. So we're going to have him as 1, Djokovic as 2, Medvedev as 3, and Ruud as 4. And I don't think that can change unless Tsitsipas maybe wins Rome.
Yeah, I mean, Stefanos Tsitsipas currently sat on 4,460 points. And yeah, he's only just behind 200 points behind Casper Ruud. So if he was to outperform him at Rome, then he is more likely to overtake him in the rankings, and the seedings. So that one would be, it's quite a significant one as well, the 5 and the 4, because it will determine which side of the draw you will go into. You might get dropped into the Alcaraz section instead of something else and play him a round earlier, like in the quarters rather than the semi-final. So
yeah, I know you've got the live rankings up. So maybe let's have a look at Rafael Nadal. He entered at 14. He's currently 14. Will he drop after Rome, Ben? But just before, even if he doesn't, I mean, 14's insane, isn't it, for Rafael Nadal?
Yeah, I mean,
everyone wants to avoid him.
I mean, it's the worst for everybody if you were to pick or get Rafael Nadal. He's at 15, I believe, currently in the live rankings. But can anyone overtake him? Only if they have better tournaments. We've got the likes of Musetti below him. If he has a good tournament at Rome, he could overtake him. So we could see Rafa go down to 16. Maybe Coric as well could overtake him. Could go down to 17. So I reckon that's about as much as you will get, though. I don't think any lower than 17 for Rafa coming into the tournament. But
regardless, he could easily be in Djokovic's section or Alcaraz's with that ranking, which we all want to avoid. I just hope he's on the other half to Alcaraz. And crazy opinion, maybe, or maybe you agree with me, but I would much rather Rafael Nadal on the half of Djokovic than Alcaraz. Or do you want the magic of a potential shootout for 23 in the final in 2023, Djokovic, Nadal?
I'm sort of torn between the whole thing, to be honest, because I just want to see Djokovic versus Nadal again, no matter what. And I don't want it if Nadal isn't at his best and then gets destroyed by Alcaraz or something like that. We won't ever get to see it. But then again, do I even want to see Djokovic dismantle an unfit Nadal either? So it's just, I'm very torn with the whole thing. I want to see a high level Nadal playing. For me, I would like the final, the Djokovic Nadal. Everybody would want that. That's going to be their 60th match. Bear in mind, 60th match if they play each other. I just hope it's in the final. That's what everybody wants, surely.
Yep.
It's the dream. Right. So having a look at some of these other ones. Any other big surprises, big movers there? As you pointed out, Borna Coric there. This one's quite an interesting one. Jan-Lennard Struff.
Yeah.
He entered at 64 and now he's up to number 28 in these rankings, and he will be
he's moved into a seed. Yes, that's big for him. He's now a seeded player. Sarundalo was always going to be a seed, but he's just become a little bit of a higher one. Nishioka has become a seed, which is good for him. And really, I think the next sort of bit to look at probably is just who's snuck in here, because I'm interested to see. We've seen obviously Lajovic playing quite good tennis. He's moved up to 46, so he's quite a big mover. But it doesn't really matter. All of these are unseeded players, so they're going to be scattered anywhere. If you're unseeded, you can fall anywhere in the draw. So it's irrelevant, really, whether you're 33 or what is it? What's the last one? 128.
Yeah, 128. I thought you were talking about Goffin there. He's the one who's sort of...
Well, he's the one who snuck in. So the cut-off point was 99 to get in, obviously, because some players withdrew, and there is obviously the option for wild cards and qualifiers. He's currently 107, so David Goffin very lucky to be playing straight into Roland Garros. We've also got some of the wild cards. We'll have a look at them. Arthur Fields makes total sense. He's playing really well. Monfils with a protected ranking. Shardy also got a protected ranking. He's someone who's the lowest, 591.
That's
Bit
nuts.
disappointed, really. I'd rather not see Shardy there, or Edmund, or maybe Pear as well, because I don't think either of them three are going to do anything.
No. I feel like Galmon Fees, you got to have him there. I feel that he's done a little bit more recently than the others have, but I still don't see him being that competitive, if I'm perfectly honest on that.
Yeah.
Should we go to, there you can see all of the qualifiers and potential wild cards. We've got a couple of withdrawals there. Jensen Brooksby, Suwoo Kwon. And do you want to have a look at the alternates that could get in?
I'm sure we're going to have more withdrawals as well. Still got some time for Roland Garros. You'd expect Daniel Thiem, Mauro Fanini to get straight in. That's my opinion. Hugo Gaston is in gold. I'm not sure. He's going to be given a wild card, you'd think, because he's French.
Yeah, I think he has, yeah.
So the only one I really want to see there is Sebastian Offner, someone who we got to play tennis with in Portugal, a player we love. He's good on the clay. He was my qualifier to watch last year. I'd love to see him get straight in, but I don't think it's going to be the case. And I think he's going to have to, unfortunately, go through the qualifying, which is unfortunate, but maybe it's not. Maybe he can do it. But a Roland Garros qualifying is not easy. Brutal. Any Grand Slam qualifying is tough, as you know. So these players would love to avoid it if possible and get instant access in. Yeah,
definitely. Looking down at some of the qualifiers here as well. Look at that, number one. Aslan Karatsev there. If that's the number one of the qualifying, that's scary. Aslan coming back to form. You can see his entry ranking, 121, 53 in the ranking now.
Well, he's another one who could get a wild card. I'd like to see him get in. Team, you'd think will get a wild card in my opinion. Sadundalo, dangerous. Kokkinakis, dangerous. Kotov can be dangerous. Gaston in France is always dangerous, in Paris especially.
Piros?
So, there's some... Piros. Yeah, I think there's some really good players here. But I'm going to save this thought because I know the next section is going to be the outside shock. So we'll talk about that in a minute. So let's move quickly on to the women's. And if I just pop that up now, we don't have the same sheet, but this is the official Roland Garros entry list. And no surprises, Iga will be the number one seed with Saba number 2. That is not going to change. That is pretty fixed. They've been the standout too. Just seeing who snuck in there. We've got Ocean Dodin just about sneaking in at the end. Is there Raducanu anywhere, Ben? Does she get instant access into the event? I don't think so.
Injured anyway. She's it's off the table for her with the wrist surgery.
Yep.
And
she is there. Look, so she did get it, but she has withdrew, as you say.
There would have been the trouble is there was just going to be wild cards everywhere for her.
No, but she had just the reason I raised that is because she would have had enough to get in. If she wasn't injured, look, you can see her entry ranking was 68.
Which is not bad, but I still feel like...
It surprised me as well when I saw it.
Yeah. Level with Cerebres Tormo, though.
Yeah.
Any other ones to note going down there?
Yeah, let's have some big names. Samsonova, I think, could be quite dangerous. Podoza, she's playing really well at the moment. But I'm more interested to see the ones who just snuck in, really. Sarah Rani snuck in there.
Always.
Grabber is in. Kovanic, we like her. Elise Cornet could be a final tournament, final Grand Slam, she said last year.
Well, let's wait and see.
In France.
That was her plan, wasn't it? Roland Garros would be the final one that she ever competed in, and then hangs up the racket afterwards. It's good to see Svitolina being included in there as well. Obviously, she's still on the comeback trail after giving birth, and I think she's starting to play a little bit better, but she's come up against some tough opposition in some of these early rounds. I think in Rome she went out early, but I still feel that she's got caliber. She has the mental fortitude to beat some of these younger players on the tour. So we may see her go through maybe 1 or 2 rounds.
Yeah. I'm just trying to see if I can find the qualifying. Let me see if this comes up here.
Yeah.
So qualifying wise, this is who we've got in the draw. Freck just missing out, but you never know. Could get a wild card potentially. I reckon Clara Burrell will get straight in, being French. Maybe Is there any other French players? I thought I saw one, but it's not. Clara Towson, I think, would be a good one to get straight in.
Yeah.
Player we both like.
Really good player.
Kaya Juvan as well, another one.
Diane Parry in there as well. Sophia Kenin. There you go. There's one name.
Sophia Kenin, I think, would get there because she did reach the final.
Yeah.
And she's got some good history here at Roland Garros.
And she's coming back to form as well. So just recently beating Sabalenka. Not many people can say that in 2023. Only, I think, 2-3 people. So she's on a short list, that's for sure, for getting into Roland Garros. I wouldn't put it past her.
These ones are all alternates for the qualifying. So they're the ones currently missing out. Adina Barra, one of your favourites.
Oh, God.
And Lee doesn't even get into the qualifying, Ben. But you never know. There is some people who could withdraw yet. So maybe we could see some of these just sneak into qualifying. Who's the lucky one? Marina Malinkova. Very lucky. Just about gets there.
Wow. What about Francesca Jones? I can see her name there from the GB. She's there at number 53, it says there, just on the bottom of that one.
And Heather Watson as well in the qualifying.
Okay. Good luck to them. Good luck to the Brits. I know we're not at home on the clay, but never say never. Might do okay.
But anyway, let's move on to the next section. So that is the ranking update. Let's go to the final section of the podcast. Well done for staying with us for this long.
Okay, the last section of the countdown. It is the surprise package. This is where myself and JG pick one person outside the top 10 that we think could be a surprise package at this year's championships.
Right. So we go with the men first?
Yeah, let's do that. That's been the running theme.
Okay, so on the men, let me just pull up the entry list again. So like you said, it has to be outside the top 10. That's a shame. I wanted Felix and he's 10th.
Really?
You already just missed out on him. No, it's not going to be him, of course. If I had to go for an outsider who could do well, I mean, Rafael Nadal's full team.
It's a good one.
Does he classify?
You've got to have it, surely. It's outside the top 10. I don't mind if you start the first episode with Rafa as your surprise package.
No, I can't have. Mate, Rafa's not a surprise package. We expect him to do well there. I'm not going to go for it. I'm actually going for someone a bit different. It's going to be Dusan Lajovic as my surprise package. The reason being, he's impressed me so much. He's already beaten Djokovic on the clay courts this year. I think he has maybe faded slightly right now, but I think he's reserving his best tennis again for Roland Garros. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Dusan Lajovic make a quarter final of Roland Garros this year or beyond. So he is going to be the player who's going to be the surprise package. And just before you give yours, Ben, every year we get one who's a surprise player to get there, who we wasn't anticipating. Think outside the box. There's no reason it can't be Dusan Lajovic. We're not saying they're going to win it, but we want like a quarter final or a semi at least. So that is my player. Who's yours?
Well, I feel like you've outdone yourself by going with someone who's a good pick. For me, I look down the list and to actually go deep in the tournament, the one person who I think that could potentially do it, who did well last year but got injured, was Alex Zverev. I mean, it's not a particularly small name. We know it's a big name. He's not been completely back to form, but it's only really Alcaraz that's embarrassed him, I think, so far on the clay. And if he avoids Carlos Alcaraz for as long as possible, we might see Zverev go deep at Roland Garros again.
Okay, nice. I don't mind that. Makes sense. On to the women's. And it's actually quite easy. It's the name I wanted to talk about. I was going to speak about her earlier, but I refrained from it because I wanted to save it for now. And that is Marketa Vondrousova. I really like her chances. She's playing great at Rome. Just demolished Andreescu the other day. She's got history here at Roland Garros.
Yep, she does.
It makes total sense. I think on the women's, there's always more than just one surprise package. In the quarterfinals, you could probably have half of them being surprise packages. So it's easier in a way for us to be right. But then it's also harder to predict as well. So there's going to be more surprise packages, but we just don't know which one it's going to be. I'm going to put my money on Marketa Vondrousova.
I think it's a really good one because she was a finalist back in 2019 when they think she was 19 as well, which is, she hasn't come back to that level yet. I think she has had some problems off the court, but she looks really, really good. If she has a good Rome, I wouldn't put it past her. For me, if we have to go outside top 10, it's not really a surprise, though. I was going to go Barbora Krejcikova, but I feel like she's a past champion. We can't really be picking past. It's a bit obvious. I can't really go with her. I think I'll have to go with somebody a little bit.
Pliskova?
No, I was going to say Ostapenko. Just she's number 20 in the row. Stop it. Stop. No, I think I'm going to go Ostapenko. Number 20 in the world. She is a past champion, but she wasn't as recent as Barbora Krejcikova, and her form hasn't been as good as Barbora Krejcikova. But anything's possible with Yelena.
Well, there we go. That is our surprise packages. That is also the last section of the countdown, episode 1. Make sure, play along at home on some of the sections. We want to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Hopefully you enjoyed this new series me and Ben are bringing to you. We will be bringing the next episode 1 week from today, from when it's airing. Hopefully you've enjoyed. Make sure if you haven't already, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. Anything left to say, Ben?
No, only that we'll see you on the next episode of The Countdown.
See you then.